Nation, we're back.
Welcome back to another episode of Fire the Cannon. I'm Rocky.
And I'm Megan, and we are Fire the Cannon.
Welcome back, Megan. It always does that where it does it where it's like auto repeats, and so I go unlock the auto replay button. Why is that the default for something to play over and over again when it's a sound effect? I don't know why that's the default, but I went and unclicked it, and there it still was. So we've only been doing this 10 years, 15 years now. So
37 years at this point.
But anyway, so how you doing, Megan? We just kind of jumped on really quickly.
Yeah, good. It's been a crazy bit at work, but we're here getting to the part we like, talking about Texas football, talking about sports in general, and all the things that we love to get into. So how's the day been treating you?
Good, busy. It's college application time, and just trying to take care of Nadia's ankle, figure out what's up with that. So we went to the ortho for that. So it's just Monday night football craziness. I was going to talk to you about that before we get going, because when you left my house Monday night, we were watching the Bills Ravens game, and I was like, by the time you made it home, couldn't even believe, like, Megan,
Wild.
when you left the house on Monday night,
Wild.
The game was like, you would think the game was over, right? And no, sure enough, Buffalo Bills came back. That was wild. I wanted to show you this hilarious guy. Watch this.
We're down 100 points with 35 seconds left. What am I supposed to do with the extra 5 seconds? Do I think I can do it? I got Haley Steinfeld to move to Buffalo, New York. I can do anything. This is the first game of the season, and it really doesn't matter. What if I put on one of the best performances of all time?
Yeah, that was pretty accurate, right? That was an epic performance.
You just can't count him out. And let me tell you, man, Josh Allen is one of those guys that, like, even if you want to dislike him, you just can't.
But why would anyone want to dislike him? He's just
if you don't like the Bills. That's what I'm saying. If you don't like the Bills, or you want to be mad at somebody, like, oh, they're your rival, or oh, you don't want to, I don't know, man. He is impossible not to like. He's a good dude. Did you see the hat that he wore pregame for this Monday night game?
What was it?
Super cool. I wish I had a picture of it. I should have been better prepared, but he was wearing a hat that was designed. It's one of 9 in a series. That was designed by some patients, some children.
I did see that. Patients. I did see that. You showed me, I think.
And it's so cool. It's just like a hand-drawn Buffalo Bills sign. The whole hat's like colored.
Yes.
It was really cool. I was like, oh, man.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you did show me that. We'll give a shout out real quick to Miracle Martinez. Appreciate y'all, ladies. Thanks for the live stream. Hook 'em. Yep. CB, what's up, ladies? Yep. It's a tough day on Twitter. So we're just going to talk Texas sports here. That's what we're here to talk about. So anything else going on, Megan, that we need to check up on before we dive into it?
Not really. I think we just
let's go. We'll tell everybody what we're talking about tonight. So SEC has released the schedules. We can kind of give a quick look at baseball, men's basketball, softball, women's basketball, just kind of a quick check on what their schedules are looking like, and if any big matchups really stand out looking at the schedules. We're going to talk a little bit about our rivals, because we have to check into our Aggies and Sooners and see how they're doing. Aggies are going into a big game. Maybe their Marcel Reed quarterback, who's been balling, is he 100%? We'll find out on the road. OU just came off a big win, so we'll talk about that. And then we're going to have a little Manning moment. We're going to dive into college football. Of course, UTEP is coming to Texas. How can you not love their head coach? We will hear from him. We'll hear from their 5-star quarterback who made his way from USC to Boise State to UTEP. They have a 5-star quarterback, one of the top recruits who Sark really was recruiting when he got Manning. So we'll talk about that. Quick check-in on our NFL teams that are going to play this week. Quick check, and then we'll give our score predictions, too, for this weekend. So lots to talk about, Megan. Let's dive into it. Let's start with the schedules this weekend. Let's look at the baseball schedule that came out. I know you're a big baseball. Oh, why is it doing that? Let me open it this way, because it's it got kind of blurry in this screen capture. Oh, this is better. Okay, let me open it this way. All right, so you're a big baseball person, Megan. I love to watch baseball with you because you make it so fun. Here's the schedule, and oh no, I don't want this one. Let me close this one. There's a better, there's a better one because it's when you grab the screen capture, sometimes it's a little blurry. Okay, here we go. And let me go ahead and zoom in on just the dates. That's all we have to worry about. The bold ones are home. Right. So we get Oklahoma at home, Alabama at home. We go to A&M again. Anything here really stand out to you, Megan?
Yeah. I mean,
baseball, SEC schedule.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a hell of a schedule for Texas. I mean, at Vandy, we got Mississippi State coming in, and look, you can talk as much as you want about them. They are a baseball program that can threaten. We're at Texas A&M. We're at Tennessee. This is a hell of a schedule, man. This is, I don't want to hear anybody saying that Texas baseball doesn't have a hard schedule this year, because this is certainly a doozy of a schedule. So, you join the SEC for games like this. You join the SEC for, to prove that you're amongst the best of the best. So, if Texas comes away from this schedule and makes it to Omaha with this, makes it through regionals, makes it through supers, man. Yeah, they earned it. They earned their damn spot getting through this kind of schedule. So yeah, I'm excited about it, man. It'll be really cool. Definitely looking forward to it. Definitely going to be hyped up. But I did want to point this out as we're talking baseball. Rocky, do you have the Arkansas schedule? Now, look, I know we don't always talk rivals here, but I had to point this out. For as much John as those pigs do, they got gifted probably one of the softest schedules that I've ever seen. As Rocky pulls that up, I'll just go through this real quick. As far as conference games go, they've got there's no Tennessee, no Texas, no Vandy, no LSU. I mean, this is, as much as I'm saying, if we get through this, if Texas gets through our schedule, our SEC schedule, we'll know they've earned it. I can't imagine Arkansas having an easier walk through the SEC as they do with this schedule. So pretty crazy. Rocky, welcome back. I know you're kind of in and out right now with technical stuff.
I don't know what. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can.
I don't know why my camera just went away. As soon as I went to show the screen, you know what? This has just been the week of technical difficulties. And
it has.
Yeah.
That computer is definitely telling you it doesn't want to work as hard as
I don't know why. CB says Arkansas always chokes.
Yeah, look, CB, I'm saying this though. If they choke on this schedule, man, you're not going to convince me that Arky's worth snot after that. I mean, that's about as easy as it gets. That's for sure. So, so looking forward to baseball. Of course, that hypes up right after basketball and of course football. Rocky, you had a couple other schedules to drop. You want to take a look?
Yeah, let's look at women's basketball schedule, and I'll figure out what's up with my camera in a sec. Here's the women's basketball schedule that was released. The SEC, well, it shows their regular schedule before they dive into the SEC. But it looks like they get Aggies at the Moody Center, and then they have the home matches against Oklahoma, LSU, Kentucky. Finish on the road at Alabama. That is a good. The SEC women's basketball is no joke. Just like baseball, just like men's basketball, just like football, they're all the sports are very competitive. Texas really started strong last year, sharing the women's basketball title. They took the baseball title. Men's basketball did not fare as well, but for the first year they started pretty strong, but they're going right back at it. The key ones always to look at are South Carolina, who they get on the road, and LSU they get at home. Remember that game was wild last year when they were here at home.
Ain't no love lost for Kim Mulkey in that building, I'll tell you that much.
All right. So let's look at, I don't know why my camera's not working, whatever. Anyway, let's look at men's basketball schedule too quickly. You know what's funny is they didn't even put out like a really nice graphic like everyone else did. So I kind of made a little graphic because I wanted the schedule just for myself to see. So I went and made this little graphic. This I have home games in bold and the rest of the games. What stands out to you, Megan, on the men's basketball SEC schedule?
Yeah, again, that Texas A&M, that's always going to be a tricky one. But at Kentucky, whoo, at Oklahoma, I mean, there's some tough games on here too. What are you looking at here? What's jumping out? Love that we end with Oklahoma. That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that you saw the women into the season on the road. The men get to end the season at home. When I was typing this out, that's when I really realized they play every Tuesday or Wednesday and Saturday. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Some back-to-back road games, back-to-back home games. Like, this is a brutal schedule, playing twice a week for 10 weeks or so. This is a tough schedule, and this is after they've done all their non-conference and gone on the road. We see on November 4th they get to play at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte against Duke, Texas Duke, two big names going at it. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be good to see the new team and the new coach and all the excitement. They released the Meet the Team graphic, which I thought was pretty cool because a lot of us don't really know all the new names, right? There's a lot of new players. So they released a Meet the Team graphic, and I guess these are the 8 starters they're expecting to get the most rotation. We know Kendall Weaver, we know Jordan Pope, we know Dalen Swain. There's a lot of new names on this list.
Yeah, it tends to happen with basketball, right? I feel like that's something, of course, with the portal, but certainly with basketball, you see a lot of the one and dones and things like that. You're like, oh dang, I feel like I got to learn a new roster every freaking season. But yeah, no, it's excited. I'm feeling hyped for Sean Miller. I think that was a solid hire for Texas. I think it's going to be interesting to see what he does with this team, what he does with the talent that's there. I mean, he was killing it, getting portal transfers and getting some recruits in. So I think there's a lot of quiet anticipation for men's basketball this year. A lot of unknowns, but a lot of excitement, I think, too. So I think that's going to be a fun season to follow along with.
All right. Miracle Martinez says February 1 is her birthday. So you know what you'll be asking for, a basketball win there. All right. Let's look at the softball schedule, and I will let you talk about the softball schedule while I fix my issue. So here is the softball schedule. We know they're coming off the insane national championship, huge national championship. It was so exciting having to get through OU and Tech to do it. Here you go.
Yeah, it was great. So again, Mike White getting over that hump and finally clinching that national championship for Texas. Looking at their SEC schedule that was just released today, definitely gonna be a tricky one. I like that we're getting A&M at Texas. We get to see them here. We also get Oklahoma at home, so that's nice. Always a good advantage. I mean, look, I know OU, Patty Gasso, you can never counter out, right? And she's always that's one of those programs that just reloads constantly. Down a little bit last year, if you can call making, the regionals and everything and being in the thick of it down. But yeah, I like the way that this lines up for Texas. Again, at Kentucky, that's going to be a tough one. But having OU at home, having A&M at home, that certainly does bode to Texas's favor. So yeah, this is going to be another good one. Again, coming off that national championship, how does Texas softball handle the expectations? How do they, do they reload? Do we see Tegan, just absolutely killing it again? So again, I love that we are finally back to a point on the 40 where we get to talk with excitement about all of the sports that we have going on, right? Like, there were some dark ages there, man, that we were struggling a little bit. We had to work really hard to find the good in some things. So I'm so happy that we are past that point. I'm knocking on wood as I say that, y'all. Don't worry. But
there's a lot of good all around the 40. We can thank the athletic department, CDC, all the way down. We heard he just got a big extension. Congrats to him. Let's also give a little more love to the Longhorns, the track and field athletes who are at the World athletics outdoor championships in Tokyo. There's a list here that was posted by Texas Track and Field. Congrats and good luck to all of the Longhorns who are representing many countries: USA, Canada, St. Lucia, Ireland, Germany, Cyprus, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago. All they're represented in around the world, right? We have Longhorns from around the world. So congrats to all of the Longhorns. Good luck at the world championships there. So that's always fun. Longhorns all around the world. All right, Megan, let's dive into it. Sorry, I had to move computers again. The other day, I have this beautiful, nice setup and it just wants to die. So I have my laptop ready to go. Let's say hi to a couple people and then we'll dive into the Sooners and the Aggies. Every sport is doing really well everywhere you look, right, Evan? And Evan also says, thanks for doing this tonight. We are here every Wednesday night and Mondays now too. We're either posting something or going live. Blame it on the dogs, Rick says. No, my dogs are downstairs. But anyway, let's dive into it, Megan. You love talking Aggies and Sooners because they always
love is a strong word. Love is a strong word.
We
Let's
need
ease
to talk
up a little
about
bit
it
with
because
that
you
rhetoric.
keep your enemies, your friends, your
friends close, your enemies
closer. Yes. So let's keep our enemies closer, Megan. Let's start with the Aggies. The Aggie athletics department thought it would be genius to have a tweet saying that they are undefeated, the only undefeated school. And they had, football, volleyball, soccer, and they proceeded to take L after L.
Look, I feel like that is it again. Thank you, A&M. We appreciate you always finding some way to Aggie out. But I feel like that is the equivalent of talking about a no-hitter when you're in the middle of pitching a no-hitter. That's the equivalent of, the announcer curse with the kicks, right? So thank you, A&M. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate you. But yeah, I mean, look, A&M, again, I will sit here and say this for as much as I like to dog on them here and there. I am going to give them credit. A&M's a better team this year than they were last year. You know that I think Mike Elko is the right fit for A&M. Maybe I'll be eating my words, but I've been saying that they picked him up. I really do.
Your words.
I do too. I do too. But look, I do think he's a good fit. I think he's a guy that kind of gets it. He's less about the flash and the cameras, right? And the attention, and more about, I think, really building a solid team. And I think A&M's going through a little bit of struggles, as far as like getting their collective poo together. Maybe not, they haven't come out of the gate as strong as they would like. But let's be very honest, Rocky. We talked about this on a couple shows before. Not everybody is getting out of the gate real strong, right? Texas had a good showing. They kept it close. I will say that. Let me rephrase. I wouldn't call it a good showing in a lot of ways, but they kept it close at Ohio State, number 3. Now number 1. That was a little bit of a stumble out of the gate for Texas. We saw Clemson, LSU stumble a little bit out of the gate their first couple of games. So I don't feel like there has been one team in college football right now that just has their collective shit together completely.
Oregon, there's a few that are starting off looking good. I mean, you take their competition with a grain of salt too. Not everyone's playing big time games yet. We're coming into the 3rd week, and most big teams have had some kind of competition or will after this weekend. But Oregon looks good. There's even Stark mentioned Oregon this weekend. There's a few teams that are looking all right, but a lot of big teams are struggling out of the gate to get going with new quarterbacks or new coaching staff or all the, the mix-ups, the changes that are always happening.
Sure. Yeah, so staying on the topic of A&M, they came out against UTSA. Now, don't get confused. Longhorns, a lot of folks do this, switching the UTSA and the UTEP. These are two very different teams. Texas A&M played UTSA. And I got to say, Rocky, I know if you just look at the score, it looks like A&M ran away with that game. But, I mean, really, UTSA gave them a little bit of a scare there in that first half. They were keeping things close. They were running some plays against A&M. So, putting some good things on film for us to see for ways that we may exploit A&M towards the end of the season, right? Again, going to be a different team at that point. But, their running back ran 16 for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. UTEP did. So, I think that while all these teams, us included, are kind of figuring things out, getting the pieces working together, you got to give some props to UTSA for how they went up. Yeah, I mean, you've got the note here. The game was 21-17 in the third quarter. Like that is by no means a runaway game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were watching that game,
Yeah,
and when we were up at Columbus, we were watching that game, and it was an exciting game for about 3 quarters or so. It was a pretty exciting game, and then A&M ran away. Marcel Reed looked strong. He got going. Casey Concepcion, really good threat, catching and punt returning. So they have talent. They have one of the best DBs in the country, linebackers in the country that are putting up good numbers. So it's going to be interesting to see. I thought the way they gave up the run, like you just mentioned, Henry ran all over them, 177 yards.
The first game, yeah.
Right. The first game, they cleaned it up. The second game only gave Utah State, was it like around 178 yards rushing the second game. So that was a big improvement against Utah State. And I would say Utah State could be, even better competition maybe than UTSA.
Yeah.
We'll see. And so that did get better. But the biggest question coming out of that game against UTSA was Marcel Reed going down hurt.
Yeah.
So he tweeted, we talked about this on Monday, he put an Instagram post with Concepcion saying, that I'll be there in Notre Dame, but does that mean he's going to be 100% balling out? Or is he going to be
there in street clothes? Yeah. I mean, cool. You'll be there. That doesn't say a whole lot, but to your point, you mentioned this on Monday. Why give anything away if you don't have to at this stage?
Exactly.
So yeah, again, Rocky, like looking at that second game against Utah State, again, A&M won this 44-22. So look, like we talked about, if you guys were listening to our live on Monday or on our podcast, the repost of it on Tuesday, I got pretty heated at Texas. I got pretty worked up.
You were not happy.
I was not happy. I'm still not super thrilled, but look, at the end of the day, Texas defense is picking up the slack and running as a complete unit where the offense is still kind of figuring their pieces out, right? When we walk away from a win, a big win, we didn't cover, we had the opportunity to. We didn't allow too many points, right? I look around the country and I go, okay, Ian, calm down. Because you could be A&M, who's giving up 22 at home to Utah State, right? So Texas is doing well. I think they're figuring it out. They're getting those pieces together. And I do take solace in the fact that defense is much closer. Defense is an elite unit, and defense is going to cover the slack until the offense gets their pieces worked out. So thank you, A&M, for giving me a little bit of a breather, a reminder to calm down. And yes, our expectations are high, but that's because we are the University of Texas. I appreciate that reminder.
All right. Let's talk about what the Aggies are doing really well. And surprising, it is throwing the ball.
Yeah.
They have over 500 yards of passing in the last two games. Another thing the Aggies are doing really, really well right now is kick and punt return. They're averaging 32 yards on kick returns and 23 yards on punt returns. That is really strong. Texas has not been the strongest punt and kick return last year, and this year we haven't seen much. We know Ryan Niblett started his first returning game on the road at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And not getting the turnovers is the most important thing, right? In that kickoff with the ball still in your hand, fantastic. Maybe when he gets more confidence, more experience, and depending on what the coaches are asking of him in that position, that will come. We've heard that Jonah Williams is a fantastic returner, so when he's back in play, maybe he's a factor too. There are possibilities there for Texas too, but as of now, the Aggies have got that down. I'm sure as people get more film on them, maybe they can shut that down, but they started strong punt and kick return for the Aggies, so good for them. Again, we said the biggest question going into the big game at Notre Dame, this is their big game this season, is going to be, can they take that defense that was cleaning things up? Is Marcel Reed 100%? They're going into Notre Dame. Not the most hostile place, but they are playing there at night. Texas got their butt kicked 10 years ago, whatever it was when we went up there.
Yeah.
But they were friendly and nice to us anyway. But anyway, so the Aggies moved up to number 16. They go to Notre Dame. We'll pick that game in a bit, but what's your first thought when you think of the Aggies going to Notre Dame on Saturday night?
For me, this is a tough one to pick. I'll be very honest. Like, I think, again, I don't want to jinx anything here, but I do think A&M is starting to figure things out. And I think we're still going to see some stumbles from them. We're still going to see some growing pains, but I think this is going to be one of those games that A&M gets up for. And I think I think they might show out in Notre Dame. I don't know. I don't know, Rocky. I'm not 100% ready to pick A&M yet, but give me another day and maybe I'll be there. Maybe I'll be there. But I do like what A&M is putting together. I think it's going to be a hell of a matchup for Texas and Texas A&M at the end of the year. So yeah, we'll see how it goes at Notre Dame. Again, I haven't been super overwhelmed with anything Notre Dame's put together recently. So yeah, I don't know. I think A&M might be trending up while Notre Dame might be kind of staying steady. We'll see.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Notre Dame has their freshman quarterback, and they went into that raining, messy Miami game.
Right.
Played much better last week at home in the no, they've only played that one game. They are 0-1 right now. We'll talk about that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit of Sooners. Illinois State 3, Oklahoma 35. Their first game, John Mateer's first showing, still put up almost 500 yards of offense and, ran a touchdown, threw a touchdown, good performance. And then he played even better last week against Michigan, a much improved step up from Illinois State. They got the big Michigan game at home. Michigan looked inept. Michigan looked outdated offense. Michigan had a very much a true freshman, straight out of high school quarterback, superstar that they paid a lot of money to get there. However, he is very young and very much learning. He had to go against that Brent Venables defense, and he struggled. 9 for 24. The defense did their job. Mateer did his job. And what did you come away with watching that OU Michigan game?
Look, I will be the first person to say, again, no love lost for me for OU. And before the season started, I was definitely jawing a little bit about burnt vegetables and his O-line. Look, he's great at defense. I will always think he is a really, really, really good defensive coordinator. I am not convinced he is head coach material, but I will say this. I'm going to eat my words a little bit at this point in the season. I think that OU O-line, I don't believe it's as good as the national media was trying to hype them up that they are, but they are better than I thought they were, for sure.
Right.
And I'm going to say this outright, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off. At this stage, I think Mateer looks better than Arch Manning does. Just is what it is. I hate to be the one to say it, but right now, today, if I had to pick, I don't know that I pick Texas to win that game if they play it tomorrow, right? I think Mateer is making smart decisions. He's throwing the ball well. He's seeing the field well, and he's leading well. I think Arch will get there. I think Arch has the higher ceiling. But right now, we're still seeing Arch struggle a little bit. We're still seeing him kind of figure out who his good are. We're still seeing him work on those mechanics a little bit. So right now, like I said, I hate to say it, but I think Mateer is a better looking quarterback. He is more polished at this stage of the season than Arch Manning is. How about you, Rocky? What are your thoughts?
He does look more composed, and he looks a little bit more experienced, right? He just looks more put together right now. I'm not saying when they go into the Cotton Bowl that, Mateer is just going to outplay Arch, or that Arch isn't going to be better than him by that point. We don't know, but I do trust PK's defense the last few years against mobile quarterbacks and quarterbacks that extend the play with their feet. I trust this defense to match and scheme and be ready for whatever Mateer is going to bring that day, because I think PK has done a fantastic job the last couple of years preparing for those kind of players, where just a few years ago, just say dual threat and Texas loses that game, right?
Yeah, that's true.
The last couple of years with PK and the talent and the speed they have on defense and the experience and the patience that we have now, like really smart players that know their assignments, I feel like that can match what Mateer is bringing. But he is bringing a fire to that team. He's what they may not have the number one offensive line in the country, but they're doing enough to help him, and the defense is keeping him in that game. They held Michigan to 13 points, and if you can do that, you can win a lot of games, right? So they only needed 24. They only needed 14 to win that, and they got 24, just enough. They do have, remember last year, OU's wide receivers were all injured, and that was a lot of their what you heard from their fan base on why they struggled so much. Well, they have a full receiving core now. Just this past weekend, 5 different receivers and double-digit yards catches. So they have a core of receivers that they can go to. That's another thing where Texas is what do we have right now between the injuries with Moore's questionable, Mosley's still out. Like Texas is still figuring out what we have in our wide receiving core, and OU is getting rolling with a handful of good receivers. So led by Deion Burks.
And I mean, this is valuable time for them, right? I mean, they having all those pieces, and we'll talk about this on the Texas side a little bit later in the show. But having all of their pieces, OU is able to play a little bit more. They're able to figure out where the connections are, who the go-to guys are, exactly how things are working. They're working on those communications. Again, you're going to hear me harp on this until it stops. So apologies for sounding like a broken record. But looking at Texas, I mean, penalties were a huge issue in the game. They hurt us at Ohio State with the timing. And then certainly with San Jose State, the penalties were out of control. It was just an undisciplined game from Texas. Yeah. Looking at OU, against Michigan had 3 penalties for 32 yards. OU had 5 for 48. So still not great, but when you pointed out that, his O-line is doing enough to keep them going, that also includes not making silly plays to hurt them.
Exactly.
To actively hurt them.
Exactly.
So I think that's a thing, again, right now, just side-by-side comparison at this exact moment in the season, that's an area Texas has got to get better. OU has the advantage there right now. They're just playing cleaner ball, right? They're making fewer mistakes than Texas is. And when we start getting into that conference play, when we start getting into rivalry games like OU, like A&M, that penalties will make the difference. That will flip a game. We can get away with it against teams like San Jose State. We cannot get away with things like that against better teams and bigger competition.
That's true. And I like that you mentioned about they're getting this time together, Mateer and his receivers, because that's something that Texas might be missing right now. And we'll talk about that when we preview Texas and the injuries. Arch Manning isn't getting a lot all the time right now with all these receivers on the field in real game time because they're not all playing, or they're not all even playing 100% yet. All right, so let's go ahead and look towards Texas now. We can get some Texas football talk. We want to kind of wrap up our thoughts from San Jose State before we move forward. We did talk a little bit on Monday we talked a lot on Monday about this game, but Megan, let's finalize our thoughts about San Jose State, but keeping in mind what we want to take from that game and build on and look forward. So how did you leave feeling that game from the San Jose State at Texas game? 38-7 win, not the worst.
38-7 win. I appreciate the win. I will say, I said this on our show earlier in the week. I left the San Jose State game from DKR feeling less confident in this Texas team than I did leaving the shoe in Columbus. And I will say that because, again, I don't know if this is another case of Sark's teams playing up to the competition and playing down to the competition. Again, winning in the way that Texas did, all of a sudden there was like a flurry of scoring, and all of a sudden it looked like Texas couldn't be stopped. So that's great. Right. But again, it was just those mental lapses that were really, really frustrating for me. To start your drive at home with false start calls. Come on, man. I hate to be this guy, but that's unacceptable. Right? So that to me was frustrating. And yes, the bar is high. Now, I will say I reeled it back in, like I mentioned a little earlier when we were talking. I will say once I took a breath, once I put the tailgate away, once I watched some more games, again, the field is still wide open. And there are teams that were expected to be just juggernauts that are struggling a little bit. So I can calm down and I can take a breath in the sense that this is, again, all of our goals are ahead of us. This is not we're 2 games in. We've got a young team, right? We still have everything's attainable, everything's reachable. What I do know, I'm going to say it again, here's my broken record section. We've got to get the penalties cleaned up. If there isn't, and we know that these first games in the season are meant as tune-up games, right? And Texas did take steps. So what I want to see, what I walk away feeling is Texas did get a little better. maybe didn't make as big of a step forward as I would have hoped, but I'll take it. I'll take that we made some progression. I understand the injuries. Where I will be concerned is if we have similar issues against UTEP, if we continue to see similar issues, if we're still in this kind of like can't get out of our own way situation by the time we're playing Sam Houston State, then I'm going to have some concerns. Then I'm going to be worried about what the rest of this season looks like. For now, onward, move forward, progress is being made, and I'm going to take solace in that. Rocky, how about you? How do you feel?
I feel like we have a lot of young talent that is going to be very special. I know 2025 this season, they came in number one. Expectations were high, but I feel like I'm not throwing away this year. Everything, like you just said, is still out there for them this year if they can clean up things like the penalties. But I feel like it has me really excited for 2026, 2027, not to look too far ahead, but we saw, Livingston and Ty Anthony Smith and these really young players that are just really taking the opportunity and showing their development early and opportunity to play. We've seen Grayson Littleton. We know he got targeted a lot more this weekend. They saw how well he played at Ohio State, and they went after him when he got in the game this weekend. That's fine. There's those things, those growing pains are going to come, but I love that a lot of young players get opportunities. There's so many players playing right now. So I think taking from this game, if they, like the week before, they scored one touchdown on the road and they gave up two. This weekend at home, much lesser competition for sure, but still a D1 program. And they scored 5 touchdowns, and a very hopeful, exciting thing is a 47-yard field goal made by Mason Shipley. That's good after kicking woes last year. It's good to know that you have a kicker. You can, early on show they can step up and make a big kick when they need. That was a good kick. That was something good to see. And then defense, so many great young players getting lots of playing time now. I like that Sark said, well, if you want the younger guys, talking to the players, if you want your younger buddies to play, pretty much you need to get some points on the board so they can get out there and go, right? And he said it to the media, which knows he's saying it to the players. If you want the younger guys to play, you need to get the game settled by then. So maybe we see, he says he gets what he emphasizes, right? Like you get what you emphasize. Mm-hmm. So I would think he's emphasizing, because he talked about the penalties. I think they will emphasize cleaning up the penalties. He said he was going to have consequences for those penalties at practice this week. So let's see if those consequences pay off this weekend. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Less penalties, lots of players still getting lots of playing time, and go ahead and run up the score so the other guys can play.
Agreed. Listen, we'll do our score predictions at the end of today's show, including Texas's, but just to put it out there, because we want y'all's opinions too. We want your score predictions. We want your thoughts. To put it out there right now, Texas is favored by 40.5 points. So 41 points, right? The over-under on this game is 50.5. So there are some expectations of what Texas will look like and how Texas is going to come out and play against this UTEP team. So, I think let's keep that in mind. I want you guys to ruminate on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Big
so that's
Chris
pretty much picking like a 45-6 kind of game.
Yeah, I mean that's the thought, right? Hey,
yeah.
Big Chris, man, we're glad you could finally join us while we're live.
Chris,
We appreciate
welcome.
you.
Thanks for joining.
So,
all right. Okay, so we went over our good, bad, and ugly. Mostly the penalties were bad. The ugly was those third downs. And when we dive into UTEP's defense, and they're very proud of their third down defense, that's going to be a matchup we want to see. But the good was forcing turnovers, lots of playing time. And so let's look ahead. Let's look ahead to UTEP. Let's say, so the game is sold out this weekend, another sold out game. I think all the games, there's only 6 at home. The last 2 are the biggest ones, but sold out game. That's good news for Texas fans. It's going to be hot, Megan, this weekend. Is.
We got real spoiled. We got real spoiled last Saturday with I can't remember, in all the years I've been going to football games, I can't remember a home opener that was that mild. It was cloudy. It rained a little bit, but the cloud
almost breezy at one point.
Yeah, like it was mid 80s. It never got above the mid 80s, and the sun. Importantly, the sun stayed covered. with thick cloud cover, right? It wasn't just like a cloud sheltering the sun once or twice. It ain't going to be that way this weekend. It's definitely going to be hotter this weekend. Unfortunately, maybe UTEP is a little more used to the Texas heat than San Jose State might have been. So maybe not quite as much of an advantage with the heat as we might have seen against San Jose State. So again, this is our reminder, y'all, if you're going to have butts in seats, drink lots of water. The beer's good. The beer's tasty.
Start hydrating yesterday.
Drink lots of water.
Yes. Start hydrating.
And this is a reminder too. Like, I think this is a good thing. We talk about our experiences at DKR and on, road games and things like that. For those of you that aren't aware or that are going to be at the game, fans are allowed. Electric fans are allowed. So handheld fans, those neck fans that go, you wear them around your neck, all those things are absolutely allowed. So if you have them, bring them. It helps you. It makes a big difference. It helps you cool down. And then of course there are cooling stations all through DKR. So please, if drink lots of water. If you feel shitty, please take advantage of those cooling stations. Heat exhaustion is no joke. It is unpleasant. It can be very dangerous. So yeah.
All right, so let's bring in the little electrolyte packets, the little mini ones, and have those to put in your waters. If you buy water and then refill it, they have, like you said, the cooling station. You can refill your water. So stay hydrated. Start hydrating now. It's going to be hot. It's going to be a long afternoon. Of course, this is a 3:15 p.m. game, so we get the heat of the day all afternoon. Normally, like you said, it does kind of help Texas sometimes when it's hot, and Texas has been training in the heat and they're ready for the heat. It didn't help last week. Normally a team like San Jose coming from the Northwest, that they would be that used to those chilly days, and they would come down here and but they got lucky last weekend. This weekend, El Paso and Austin are going to be ready for the heat. Did you see who is the game LCL performer?
I did. I was looking earlier and I
Longhorn City Limits, big boy.
All right. Hey.
Yes.
That's a change up from Corey Morrow. I love it.
Yeah, that's going to be a pregame show. So 11:45 a.m. There is another group that goes on, and then Big Boy will go on. Probably, I'm not going to say what time, but it'll go on before the game. So that'll be fun. Lots of free entertainment, a free concert. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, Megan, let's talk about the game, the actual game. One of the biggest issues going into this game is the injuries. So there's been, of course, Sark said yesterday Monday in his press conference, Wisner, there's no need to rush him. He's still, he was a little banged up before the Ohio State game. He played a full game against Ohio State and rested this past week. We saw him wearing everybody's jewelry, necklaces. DeAndre Moore went out of the game early, tweaked something. Mosley still hurt. Endries and Taft both have ankle issues. Alex January rested last week. We don't know if he's still resting. What are we know those, we can't just say it's just UTEP, because look, a lot of teams get beat by teams that shouldn't beat them. Happens every weekend, right? So you got to take every game seriously and put your best team out there. What are you think of the pros and cons of resting all these players right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think the biggest con, I'm going to start with the negative. I'm going to end with the positive for me.
Okay.
I think that the biggest negative of it right now is, like we talked about a little bit earlier, this offense specifically still hasn't really gelled, right? They're still kind of figuring out who fits in what role, who goes where, how is Arch going to lead? How does this O-line communicate with their backs? How does the blocking look? What do the schemes look like? So I think in that sense, when you've got some guys that have a lot of reps under their belt sitting out, you definitely want to rest them if they're not ready. Don't put them in his position to get more hurt against, again, no offense, against no competition like UTEP, right? Again, when this game doesn't hold as much weight as a conference game would. But you are going to, as you're figuring these pieces out, and as the offense is trying to figure out just what the hell they are and who the hell they are, it hurts to have your big guys that have a lot of reps sitting out, right? You're missing that kind of leadership. You're missing that consistency. So it does, it takes a little bit longer to figure out what's what. Now, on the flip side of that, again, you don't want to hurt guys early in the season. You don't, if it's a small tweak, give them that time to rest up, relax, be okay. You've got a little bit of cushion in this game. And I do like the fact that a lot of really young guys are getting meaningful reps. We're not just talking like, and again, I think that's something that Sark does pretty well, generally speaking, but we are getting a lot of guys in. You're seeing Sark. They were talking about this again on Third and Longhorn, and I loved it. I love this perspective. But this is kind of the NFL style, right? You rotate early, you rotate often, you keep guys fresh. So in that sense, it doesn't deviate from too much of what Texas is going to be doing throughout the season anyway. So getting these guys meaningful reps, getting them a little bit more time, and getting used to that cadence of constantly changing guys in and out, I think that can be helpful. That's good practice for Texas as well.
Right. I agree. This is a long season. They're hoping to play 15, 16 games, right? 17. How many is it in? I don't even remember. You're hoping to play into January, right? January 20 something. So it's a long season. I was thinking like with Wisner being the only back with 1,000 yards in the SEC that was returning, he had such a good shot to rack up, stats, yards these few weeks. But more importantly, we need him in December, and we need him more importantly, we need him in October, right? So that's what matters most. He's been in the system. He's got the experience. Of course, the reps are valuable for everyone, but a player like Wisner, that the rest will do him better than forcing him out there. If it was Florida this week or OU this week, they said he would play, but there's no reason to rush. It's also a great opportunity for, we saw, Jarrett Gibson, we saw Christian Clark last week. We, hopefully going to see James Simon this week. We'll see the other running backs get some more rotation. And then we saw, of course, Baxter take the load as he's getting healthier. So the thing that is good too on defense, we know that like Alex January, fortunately they're deep at D line. So they have lots of other players that can rotate, and some of the really young players rotated last weekend. Taff, if he does rest this weekend, we know that there's lots of options at safety that can move in. We saw him even playing nickel lately because they're so deep everywhere that they can move people around. So that's
DBU, baby.
DBU, right? So that's if anyone can take a game off, he'll probably be on the sideline and
he'll be pissed that he has to take a game off.
Probably run out there and make a tackle. He leads the team by far in tackles. Would he have like 18 tackles? I don't even know. He is everywhere. It's Michael Taft. So what a leader, and he leads by example, and he's a hard hitter. But if he needs to rest, then got to think of the long season, right? It is a long season. Okay.
Absolutely. So I was gonna say let's talk UTEP a little bit here. Let's look at kind of like a look back on their season so far, where we think their strengths are, where we think they might have some weaknesses, and how can Texas take advantage of that. So let's start off with their first game. It was a loss against Utah State. Now, we just talked Utah State versus A&M, right? So some crossover here, little in the CFB universe. They lost that game. UTEP lost that game to Utah State. Now, they were at Utah State. They lost 28-16. So they kept it close against Rocky Lake. What you said, Utah State could prove to be a pretty good team here. Like I think they're gonna win some games this season. You want to cover what we've got going on here? A little bit of UTEP?
Right. So they went to Utah State. They lost 28-16. The quarterback we mentioned earlier, Malachi Nelson, he first was at USC, and then he went to Boise State. Now he's at UTEP. He was highly recruited, 5-star. He was a top 15, 20 player in the country at the time, number 5 quarterback. He was the same year as Arch Manning. Sark did recruit him to Texas. Once, Arch Manning commits, he went to go be the backup for Caleb Williams. You'll learn under Caleb Williams and ended up moving on. Didn't get the job at Boise State and moved on. So anyway, he's still a very, very talented quarterback. He's not putting up rushing yards at all. Like I think he was -2 yards last week. So he's not yet, at least, because they always show something different against Texas.
That's true.
But as of yet, he's not using his feet like a Mateer is using, or a Lenore Sellers or anything like that. He very much is passing the ball. He had last week, the first week, UTEP rushed the ball for 105 yards, and he threw for 178 yards. And the defense did give up a lot of passing yards. The next week, Malachi Nelson looked even better, 278 yards. Of course, this time it was against UT Martin, not the same competition as Utah State, but He threw for similar numbers to Arch Manning, 278 yards, 4 touchdowns, and this time UTEP rushed for almost 200 yards. So they figured out something in their run game, but also their defense does give up a lot of passing. So we'll start there. What are you thinking about Malachi Nelson and the real legit 5-star talent that's at UTEP?
Yeah, look, I think it would be, and I'm not suggesting Texas will do this, but it would be a mistake to overlook this guy at quarterback. Like, he is a playmaker. He knows how to sling the ball. And I think, honestly, look, I like, just setting the expectations, I think we're going to see some explosive plays from him. I think he's going to have a little bit of that chip on his shoulder, right? He knows that Texas, Sark specifically, like you mentioned, was recruiting him. And then he, Arch Manning came in. He decided to go. He's been a couple different stops before then. So yeah, I think he's gonna have a little swag in his step coming into DKR, have a little something to prove. So Texas fans, don't be surprised and don't freak out. But I think this kid is gonna have some big plays. I think he's got a couple explosive plays in him. And if Texas does not take him seriously, he can make Texas pay. Now, that being said, overall, the Texas defense is still the Texas defense. And I just don't see UTEP being able to compete consistently rep after rep after rep after rep after rep against this very angry, very good Texas defense. Yeah. So, again, don't ignore the kid. But, I think Texas defense really steps up and has a big, mean, mad game.
All right, Megan, what does the head coach of UTEP, Scotty Walden, and my great-grandmother have in common?
Girl, I know you, and I love you, but I don't know you that good.
They are both from Cleburne, Texas.
Well, there you go.
My great-grandmother is from Cleburne, Texas, and Scotty Walden is from Cleburne, Texas. And for those of you who don't know, when you go up north on I-35 and you split Fort Worth, I-35 west to Fort Worth, and I-35 east to Dallas, I-35 west of Fort Worth is Cleburne, Texas, and that's where Scotty Walden, the head coach of UTEP, he is a young 35 years old. He is a up-and-coming, I say up-and-coming, he's already the head coach of a D1 program at UTEP, and he has the whole town excited about him. He is so, I like him. I'm cheering for him. I think he is entertaining. I think he's genuine, but you want to hear what he's got to say. He's kind of a young Sark kind of vibe, you want to hear what he's saying. You feel like what he's saying isn't just always coach speak, right? So let's look. He was talking this week to UTEP media, and they asked him about playing at coming to DKR to play, and I loved his answer. Let's listen.
A lot of value in it. I'm a Texas guy, Adrian, from Fort Worth, and to play the University of Texas, it means a lot to me in this program, especially our kids now that, I'd say probably 70-80% of our roster is Texas high school football players, just to play the school in the state of Texas. You grow up and you see obviously the Aggies, the Longhorns, and and I just think that's really special for these kids, memories that they'll create a lifetime. Obviously, that's that side of it. We're going on a business trip. I mean, our expectation is to win the game and go compete to win the game in everything we do. But at the end of the day, I think that's a really, really awesome opportunity for our kids to get to do that. I know for me, I was coaching D3 ball, and I think it was in 2014 maybe at East Texas Baptist, we stopped at DK. We brought our kids into DKR to get the practice. And I'll never forget, looking around and being like, whoa, man, maybe one day I'll get the coach here. How cool would this be? And so, it's a surreal moment for me as well and for our coaching staff. And so what an awesome opportunity for our guys to go make history and to go out and compete against one of the best teams in the country, let alone, the standard in the state of Texas.
The standard in the state of Texas. How cool is that? He is a Texas boy through and through.
This man's going to make me like him.
My mission is for everyone to say, give him that clap on the way out, because what an effort they gave.
Absolutely. I wish he would let me hold a little hate in my heart, but I can't. That's honest, it's true, and that's cool. So he's gonna bring it, his team's gonna bring it for sure. Very cool. And again, you can hear it in his voice. He's already hoarse. He is a coach that is hyped up and in his guys' faces and running down the sidelines with him. So that's another thing Longhorn fans to look for is he definitely has the energy. He will be running up and down. He'll be hyped up. It'd be interesting to see him and Dwayne Aquina stand next to each other and coach next to each other if we could.
Yeah, he's a young coach. He's exciting. I think we should keep his name in our pockets for, 10, 15 years from now when Sark has his multiple national championships and, he's ready to go. Maybe this guy's already coached at like a Georgia Tech or something like that by then. He'll come back with Blake Gideon.
There you go. There you go. I like that you're scheming ahead. I appreciate that.
Anyway, so a couple other important things that he said when he was talking in this press conference was he's very proud of their third down defense. He's like, they're physical. They really work hard. They rep it, that they did a lot of that kind of situational things in the off season to prepare for this. And so that really put a little light bulb in my head because Texas, especially last weekend against San Jose State, 2 for 12. We talked about this on Monday, so we don't need to go all into it again. But 2 for 12 and third down is unacceptable. It does not win championships. It does not move the ball. Texas was lucky enough to score quickly when it did score, but when it got to third downs, times were tough, right? 2 for 12. So that's going to be a matchup I really want to see this weekend on third down. UTEP, they're very proud of their third down defense. Texas really has struggled on third down offense. So let's see who wins those battles if Texas can move the ball on them on third down.
Absolutely. Well, if Texas can stop from having penalties to make it third and long, I bet you, I could be wrong, but I bet you our third down conversion might go a little bit up.
Yeah. Another important thing he mentioned at his conference was they have a superstar player, one of their favorite players, Cam Thomas. He wears number 5. He plays running back. He plays receiver. He's a senior. He's a captain on their team. Apparently, he was injured in the first game against Utah State, and they ended up finding something else. That injury led to finding something else that was going on with him. So he is actually out of this game, but in that first game against Utah State, he had 16 carries and another 4 receptions. So he is a key part of their game plan going into the season, and they will be without him indefinitely, they said. So,
You hate to hear
best of luck. You don't want anybody to be hurt. Best of luck to Cam Thomas, and hopefully he can join the team soon.
And that's kind of ominous too when they say looking at one injury helped us find something else. That feels ominous.
Yeah, you never know.
Hope he's the best. Yeah, hope all the best for
know.
him. Hope it's a quick recovery for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right. So Rocky, I mean, we're getting into it. Let's talk about keys to the game. What do we need to see? What are you looking for? 3 keys for a Texas win, and what do you need to see this weekend to walk away happy?
What I need to see, I feel strongly that Texas will win this game, but what I need to see to feel good about it, when we left Ohio State, we didn't feel that bad. We felt like, they could clean up a couple things. It's there. I trust Sark and the defense. So that's fine. But then we left, like you mentioned, we left the San Jose State game not feeling as great, right? Because they left so much meat on the bone and self-inflicted wounds, right? So let's say for me, the things that I need to see that make me feel like the keys to a win / I need to see these things. I would like them to have more success, consistent success on offense, especially like we said, those third downs. This team has gave up 400 yards over the last 2 games, and they've gotten no interceptions. UTEP has not caught an interception yet this year. So if you're throwing interceptions to them, which Arch gave up, 1 in the first game, almost 2, and 1 last week, and then there were turnovers 2 other ways. So if they can go play a clean game without turning the ball over on offense and move the ball consistently on offense, that would be good for me. I would like to see the defense sack the quarterback. They've given up 5 sacks in the last 2 games, and Texas only has 2 sacks this season so far. We've heard all about the edges, the pressure, and I know pressure doesn't equal sacks, but I would like to see that build up to the sacks. They should be coming, right? So let's get after that quarterback. He's a talented player. He does throw the ball. He's not going to run for his life. So let's go ahead and get him on the ground. And then also, along with the defense, by making this quarterback one-dimensional, let's stop the run. They are averaging averaging 150 yards a game on the ground. Very respectable run game that complements their efficient passing game. So let's try to hold them under 100 yards. So I would like to see at least 2 sacks. I would like the running backs to be held under 100 yards, and I would like no interceptions. That's what I'm looking for in this game. That would make me feel like this was a good game.
I like it. All right. Well, I can't argue with any of what you said. I have one thing that I want to see. Rocky, I bet you can guess what it is. I bet our listeners can guess what it is. We have got to clean up penalties. Look, I think a lot of Texas's woes get helped and maybe almost go away if we get those penalties cleaned up. You see I think you get your confidence with your kicker, right? You get shorter third downs if you have, and fewer third downs if you clean those up. Red zone issues aren't as prominent if you have a clean game, a focused game. So for me, I agree with everything you said. I would like to see the turnovers. I want to see the defense be consistent. I want to see the offense take steps forward. I want to see them get better. I want to see Arch clean up his mechanics a little bit, see the field just a little bit better, get a little more comfortable with his receivers. I want to see his receivers block a little. I want to see the development of those young guys there. But if I just had one thing to pick, I will walk away happy from this game if we keep our penalties
give us a number.
Under 45 yards.
Ooh.
I want to see Texas. It's not perfect. You're still going to have some trip ups, right? It's still a young team. I'm not expecting absolutely clean perfection. But for the love of God, 115 penalty yards is unacceptable. So I want to see Texas make a big step there, big improvement there.
All right. That if I'm going to be watching that just for you, right? Just
appreciate that. So I can keep my blood pressure down.
Yes,
Ezzy, thanks for the heads up.
So that you don't come running out onto the field.
Right. Ezzy, thanks for the heads up here. I just got the notification as well. Texas volleyball did drop the first set against Louisville. That set was 23-25, but they took the second set, even it up 25-16. So it is now even at 1-1. Texas is currently ahead in that set number 3. So we'll keep.
We're still recovering from that craziness on Sunday, and they're already playing again. Wow.
I know, it's wild. We are definitely not in our 20s, that's for sure.
No. All right. So let's have a little Manning moment, and then we will give some love to our buddy Chuck with Rock and Diamond S Ranch. But let's have our little Manning moment. And this is, oh well, I'll find it. Hang on a sec. Anyway, so Arch Manning was asked to let's do let's do Rock and Diamond S Ranch, and then I'll do our Manning moment. Let's do that way.
Sounds good, y'all. Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, we know football season is here. It is our favorite time of year. But I got to tell you, we all know that prices in Austin get a little out of control when it comes for places to stay and things to do. So if you're in that conundrum, look no farther than the Rock and Diamond S Ranch. It is nestled on 120 acres in beautiful Blanco, Texas. That is just a short drive to Austin or to San Antonio. And there is a ton to do there, y'all. The main home and the property sleeps 14 with 1 primary house and 2 fully furnished cabins. There's so much to do. Again, you can go fishing, check out the pool, go wildlife watching. You can hunt. You can do pretty much whatever the heck your heart desires out there. You're secluded, but also still close to stuff. It is just 5 minutes from the downtown of Blanco. Breweries, eateries, distilleries, shopping, and more. So again, with F1 coming up, we've got Arkansas, we got Vandy coming, we got A&M coming, we got Sam Houston next weekend. There's plenty to do out there, so please check them out. It's rockindiamondranch.com, or give our good friend Chuck Smith a call at 512-694-1969.
All right. Good job, Megan. Okay. I have my Manning moment. So this is the Red Bull. They've been doing little video clips with him. And here he was asked about 2000s trivia. And I have to say, Megan, there was a few of these I didn't even get. All right. Here.
What is this a picture of?
A calculator? Is it a phone?
It is a phone.
BlackBerry? A computer?
It's called a sidekick.
A sidekick. I like that. That's a good name.
Who was the #1 draft pick of the 2003 NBA draft?
LeBron. The GOAT.
What are these a picture of?
Those Pokemon cards?
They're Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Wk2?
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh.
Alright, which president was elected in 2008?
Obama?
That's correct.
Yeah, how old were you in 2008?
I was 4.
What popular social media site did Tom create?
Tom? Facebook. No, not Facebook. Instagram.
He created MySpace.
I don't even know what that is.
Which 2 artists
Young.
created the smash hit Umbrella?
Rihanna.
Rihanna
Who
and
else?
there's a man.
A man?
Married to Beyonce.
Jay-Z. Let's
Finish
go.
straight. Which quarterback won the Super Bowl MVP in 2007?
2007 would be Peyton. Hook 'em.
I didn't know.
Better get that last
I
one
thought
right.
The Yu-Gi-Oh cards were also Pokemon cards. I didn't know. I couldn't remember the name of that little phone thing being a sidekick, and the rest, I don't know. Yeah, he's so cute. I like when they do stuff like that because
He did good. I also feel very, very old now. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
How old were you in 2008? 4.
Yeah, he was 4.
Not you. I'm saying Arch. Arch was 4 years old in 2008. That was cute.
He was 4 and I was well out of college. So
Yeah. Okay. So you want to know how we talked a minute ago in our little Manning moment, how we talked a minute ago, how Arch was, that we say right in this moment so far in the first 2 weeks of performance, Mateer's looking better. If you want to know that Oklahoma agrees, post anything about Arch and here they come with their comments and like, who's talking to you? Nobody's even talking to you right now. Go away. Anyway, so let's talk a little college football. It's week 3. We're going into week 3. There's games Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's NC State at Wake Forest, whatever. That's the Thursday game. It's still college football, so watch it.
college football.
Right, college. There's 2 games on Friday that are interesting. That we just a quick chat about them. Colorado at Houston. We know Colorado is rebuilding after the best Travis Hunter and all the Shador Sanders and all the players moved on to the NFL. They started with the loss to Blake Gideon's Fighting Gideon's defense of Georgia Tech, and then they won big at home against Delaware. Can't really tell much about that. Houston, they've had SFA and Rice. Can't tell much from that either, but they're still favored at home, 5.5 over Colorado. Do you have any thoughts on that game?
It's an interesting matchup. I mean, this feels somehow super old school while being very new.
That's a good way of putting it.
Right? No, I think, look, Houston, they gave Texas fits a couple years ago. So I think, they're favored at home. I'll give them that home crowd advantage. You're right. Colorado is rebuilding. They're kind of trying to figure out who they are without a Sanders kid in the lineup. So yeah, we'll see if Dion can coach him up and figure it out when it's not his kids, right?
Right.
So
all right. So yeah, I think Houston will be fine at home on that game. Also Friday night, 8 p.m. This is interesting. Kansas State at Arizona, a Big 12 matchup on Fox. 1-2 Kansas. We know that they started the season. They already have 2 losses and it's week 3 because they played week 0 in that horrible Dublin rain mess against Iowa State. We saw them bounce back. Well, they survived North Dakota at home, and then they lost to Army. So they are on the struggle bus, this team. They're going to 2-0 Arizona, but Arizona has only played Hawaii and Weber State. So that's why Kansas State is favored by 1.5. Can Kansas State get that win on the road? Do you have any thoughts about Avery Johnson and taking that? Remember his dad and brother got in a fight? I'm never going to forget that.
Look, Kansas State was one that I thought might have a lot of potential at the beginning of the season, but they just seem like a really unfocused team. From the games that I've seen out of them so far, they're pretty sloppy, right? You mentioned that wild Ireland game. It really was. Granted, weather played a factor, no doubt.
Big time, yeah.
But it was sloppy. It seemed kind of undisciplined, unfocused, sloppy on both sides. I will say that. But then you look again. I mean, Kansas State barely pulls over a win against North Dakota, and then at home, right? And then Army beats them 24-21 again at home. I am surprised that Kansas State has lost all of their home games so far. That's wild.
Well,
I
no,
would not
they
have.
won against North Dakota at home and then lost to Army at
Oh,
home.
sorry. North
Yeah.
Dakota. Yeah, North Dakota was 38-35, but they eked it out against North Dakota.
Yeah, they
Apologies.
survived
reading
North
that wrong, but-
Dakota, and then they lost to Army. They've
But
lost
again-
2 games, 24-21.
Yeah, I for that reason, again, now you're playing on the road. I don't know. Kansas State just does not look like a team that is focused or disciplined right now. And I've just been kind of underwhelmed. So I'm going to take Arizona in this one, if for the only reason that it's at Arizona. And I'm not buying into Kansas State till you show me that you remember how to play football.
Kansas State are 1.5 point favorites. I'm actually going to take them to win at Arizona, only because I feel they're a little more battle tested now. And when you come off a tough physical loss like that, we're going to see what you're made of. And Kansas State is usually made of some pretty good grit. So if they can't go toe to toe with Arizona, who's played Weber State, like, come on, let's go. So I'm going to give Kansas State. A lot of people picked them to be Big 12 champs this year. Some people had them for that. So if they don't win this game at Arizona, their Big 12 champs hopes or whatever. They're going to be from contender to fraud. All right, let's move to Saturday. Lots of big games. We'll highlight a few. Clemson at Georgia Tech. We're only mentioning this because Clemson is 1-1. Georgia Tech has wins over Colorado and Gardner Webb. Clemson, what can you learn from them after their loss to LSU and then their three-quarter struggle with Troy until they pulled away? They are they're 3.5 point favorites at Georgia Tech.
That's surprising.
What are you feeling about Klubnik at Georgia Tech? 2-0 Georgia Tech.
Yeah, again, I think Klubnik will figure it out. He's a good quarterback. He's a guy that understands it, a lot of experience. I know you love him. He's a Westlake boy, right?
Yes, he is.
But yeah, again, if you had told me at the beginning of this season that Clemson would be 1-1 right now, and barely a favorite at Georgia Tech, that would have raised some eyebrows for me. So Clemson definitely struggling early here. But I will say this, Rocky, I think I'm going to take Clemson in this one, and I think they're gonna figure it out. I think we see a Clemson team start to click and figure it out and it get going. But now that I've said it, who knows? Who knows what happens with Clemson? How about you? Who do you have in this game?
Oh man, I think Clemson gets it together. I kind of want to believe in Blake Gideon's scheme for him. I kind of hope and wishing Blake Gideon has something for Cade Klubnik, but and I'm a Cade Klubnik fan at Westlake. I want them all to do well, but man, they look rough and they're barely getting it together, and they struggled at home against LSU, who went and struggled at home. So I don't know. I'll say Clemson survives that game, even though I want Georgia Tech to win that game.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
All right.
A little bit of hate watching for that one, maybe.
No, I don't hate either team. I don't know. I just kind of want Blake Gideon to do really well. All right. So 13 Oklahoma, they moved up to number 13. They go to Temple. They're 21-point favorites, so that's whatever. Also 11 a.m. Michigan has dropped to number 23. They host Central Michigan. Maybe they can get back on track, 28-point favorites. All right, so this is a big game, Megan. The afternoon games. Number 6, Georgia goes to Tennessee. Georgia has only played Marshall and Austin Peay.
And they struggled against Austin
28-6 score, and people were mad. They were not happy with that performance.
I wouldn't be either.
Right? We know they have Gunnar Stockton, their young quarterback. We saw him against Texas when he made his little appearance in the SEC championship game. All right, and then 2-0 Tennessee. They've beaten up on Syracuse and East Tennessee State. They put up 72 points last weekend, which was
directional states. Yeah.
Right. What do you think about that? So Georgia opened as a 6.5 point favorite. It's down to 3.5 after their performance last weekend. What are you thinking about Georgia being favorites at Tennessee?
Yeah, again, this is another one where, we mentioned earlier in the program, there's a lot of big names that are struggling early in the season. Georgia's certainly one of them. Again, right now they're 2-0, more than Texas can say. I'll say that. But they haven't looked good. They haven't looked strong. They haven't looked like typical Kirby Smart, beat them up. I don't know. Maybe all those speeding tickets and reckless driving is catching up.
They've only given up 13 points between 2 games.
Yeah, but that offense, I mean, again, similar to Texas's woes, right? Like defense is doing fine, offense is struggling a little bit to click. Again, in this one, I don't know, Rocky. It's hard for me to pick this one because Tennessee gets up and plays at home really well. And early in the season, I know that's going to be rocking up in Knoxville. So I think I'm going to take Tennessee in this one. I think it's going to be kind of a sloppy game. I think it's going to be close, but I do think Tennessee pulls away. I think number 15 Tennessee beats the Dogs. I'm taking the Volunteers here. How about you?
We need the teams that are going to be the most challenged to take some L's, and that will help
Right?
Texas in the long run. I have Tennessee also. We know Aguilar, the quarterback, is got the Latino community on fire right now at Texas. His grandma's making everybody all perclamped, like everybody's loving the abuela, and like it's just so sweet. And I love how they're fired up there for their quarterback. And I'm going to record this game and watch it later because, like, we know we'll be at the Texas game when this kicks off. So that will be a good one to watch, and we need to watch it because Texas will face Georgia, and it's always good to see how, you know, when they actually go play real competition, what they're looking like. That gives us a better story. Also, 2:30, no reason to pick this game, but Incarnate Word goes to UTSA. Jeff Traylor is off to a rough start. He lost at A&M, of course, and then they had the Battle of I-35, a crazy good game. If anyone wants to watch just really good back and forth football, go watch the replay of Texas State at UTSA. But maybe this will be a chance for him to get back on track. Texas game we'll pick at the end. Let's get into 18 USF at 5 Miami. This is exciting because USF has now upset Boise State, kicked them out of the top 25. They went into Florida, kicked them out of the top 25. And now they have number 5 Miami. With a loss, they're not going out of the top 25. But Miami beat Notre Dame and then Bethune. They have their Carson Beck transfer hero. Byram Brown of USF is a dual threat monster who's leading the way. Any excitement? I don't know why. Miami's 17.5-point favorites. Didn't they see when USF was 18.5-point dogs last week? All they did was beat Florida. What do you think? Can they do it again?
I don't know, man. They're kind of the scrappy Cinderella.
Yes,
like Cinderella from the hood, I guess. I don't know. Like they're a tough team right now. I don't know that I want to be Miami going up against USF. All that being said, sorry, USF. I think Cinderella.
Oh no, is the party over?
I think the party's over. I think Cinderella loses her glass slipper again. I think Miami is going to do well in this game. I think it's going to be one of those that's like scrappy early on, and then Miami pulls away and figures stuff out. I think they're just going to be a little more physical than USF is. So how about you? Who you got in this one?
I think Miami survives, but I don't think it's a 17.5-point cover. I think that is way too big. USF is going to give them much more of a dogfight than 17.5 points. So I'm going with USF, Miami win, USF cover. All right. Really quick. Miracle Martinez has something to say about the UTEP UTSA. Can we give some love to UTRGV? Yes, we did a couple days ago. Miracle, you might have missed it, but yes, UTRGV is undefeated. Amazing. We talked about them and their new facilities and everything. Fantastic. They are now they're still 2-0, right?
Undefeated.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And they've brand new program. Okay. So we got to pick the Aggies. 16 A&M going to number 8 Notre Dame. We talked about it earlier. They're 2-0, beating Utah State and UTSA. Notre Dame is 0-1. They've only played that one game of that messy game at Miami. They've been sitting on that L, that messy, sloppy game in their hand L for 2 weeks, Megan. Opened as 9.5-point favorites, but it's down to 6.5 points for Notre Dame. That was a big open, almost 10 points. 6.5-point favorites, Notre Dame. Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. We know it's NBC because it's Notre Dame. Who do you got?
God help me.
Oh no, are you going to pick the Aggies to win this?
I'm taking the Aggies.
Say it with your chest, Megan. Say it with your chest.
I'm not saying it with my chest because every time I pick those fools, they always do something stupid. So
you do try to pick them. You do try to say they're going to win.
I try to give them some love. Look, I said this at the top of our program. Tomorrow, I said earlier, I'm not ready to pick this game. Tomorrow, I might be, since we got to pick it now. I'm going to take A&M. I do reserve the right to change my mind before kickoff. All right. I'm going to say, I'm not saying shit with my chest right now because I do think Elko's getting it figured out. I do think A&M might have found a little juice. Now, to the point of what we talked about earlier, a lot of questions are hanging on the health of their quarterback. So, caveat, if Reed is healthy, I'm taking A&M in this game. If not, yeah, it's Irish all day. How about you?
I think the Aggies are going to win this game.
See? Okay. Giving me all this crap for it. Goodness gracious, girl.
If like you just said, if Marcel Reed is healthy and goes out there and plays, I think the way their Concepcion, like the way he was saying, that's my, quarterback, riding with him, all the things. Like, I feel like this team is rallying behind Marcel Reed, and they have a good defense. Of course, Notre Dame has some of the best DBs in the country on their team, and they've recruited really well, but they do still have a freshman quarterback, and we saw him make those freshman mistakes on the road. Right. And let's see what happens in the, sweet confines of home. But Notre Dame, like we said, yes, they're, historic program, but it's not the most hostile, terrifying environment at night. I would say College Station is much more that Notre Dame went into last year. Notre Dame went in there last year and beat them, at College Station. So I'm going to say they trade places and Aggies actually come out of this game. If Marcel Reed is healthy, I think they're gonna win this game.
Right. That's the asterisk that we're putting on both of our predictions.
Well, of course, if they're going, the backup didn't do that bad either. The backup that came in. Was it Mills or what? I need to go look at his name. Anyway, he did just fine when not the first game, but the second game, he did just fine when he had to come in. So not that he's prepared to go into Notre Dame. He's a freshman, but I would say if they have Marcel Reed, he's looking pretty good. So we'll see. All right. Another couple games to just keep an eye out. Also around the same time, Vanderbilt at 11, South Carolina. This only matters because Vanderbilt came back and beat up on Virginia Tech. They were down big, came back and beat up on them 44-20. Same team that South Carolina survived a couple weeks ago, 24-11, and looked kind of rough getting started last week. So Vanderbilt at number 11, South Carolina. Interesting game. South Carolina, 5.5-point favorites. So you get the Diego Pavia against the Lenora Sellers, two really exciting, hyped up quarterbacks. That'll be fun. All right. The night games, of course, there's night games. Texas State at Arizona State because we're going West Coast times. Just for the Texas State fans.
Let me tell you, that's going to be a fun game to watch. I really believe that. I think that's going to be a wild game. I think
I'll be watching it. But why is Arizona State 15.5-point favorites?
I don't know because I don't think they cover that. I think Texas State is going to show up to this game. I think it's going to be a wild and crazy, insane. We said this at the beginning of the season. The Big 12 might not be the best football you're going to see, but they're scrappy and it's going to be
the best football you're going to see.
It's going to be fun. Insane football. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think this is going to be one of those games where, Texas State comes in, they act a mess. They don't know their place. They don't know who they are. They're going to, you know what I mean? Like they don't believe that they're a small dog. They're going to go in there and I think they're going to cause a ruckus. So yes, I think that's going to be a really fun game to watch.
All right. The last game of the night. Oh, aren't your Michigan State Spartans, are they playing like in the middle of the night this week?
Yeah, it's not this week, it's next week. It's week 4. They announced the time for week 4. Michigan, so this week Youngstown comes into Spartan Stadium. It's a 2:30 game, but the next week, absolutely ridiculous. We will talk about this on our show. An 11 p.m. kickoff for Michigan State fans. That is bonkers. We'll talk about it.
This week the 11 p.m. game is Portland State at Hawaii,
which makes more sense. It's Hawaii, right? Like, come on.
They're 6-7 hours ahead of us here, so that makes more sense. That's a afternoon game for them. All right, let's wrap up with our. We'll give our text predictions in just a second. Let's just quickly give our NFL Week 2. All 4 of our teams lost last weekend. All 4 of them were on the road. The Cowboys, Titans, Lions, Texans are our 4 teams, and we also cheer for our friends on the Saints, the Broncos, and all the other teams, right? So this weekend, the Thursday night game competing with the Thursday night college football game is Washington at Green Bay. Should be interesting. And again, all of our teams are playing at the exact same time. Sunday at noon, the Giants are at the Cowboys. Chicago is at Detroit. Your Detroit Lions. The Rams and Jordan Whittington are at my Tennessee Titans. San Francisco goes to New Orleans. And then in the afternoon, lots of Denver Longhorns are on the Broncos. They'll be in Indianapolis, Philly at KC. And then the Monday night game, Tampa Bay at Houston. So we get a little Baker Mayfield at the Houston Texans. That'll be, who do you got? Who do you think wins that game? Tampa Bay lost to Atlanta this first weekend, opening weekend. That was surprising.
I think Houston bounces back from their loss. I like to see CJ Stroud put some numbers up. And it's at home. So I'm going to take my Texans, probably just because my pride won't let me not take my Texans.
I think Houston will bounce back at home. And then also there's another Monday night game. The Chargers go to Vegas. All right. So our final
one thing before,
go ahead.
One thing before we jump off, the reason, and I know, listen, I'm a Lions fan, so y'all are just going to have to deal with me talking about it. This is actually a significant game because it is the first time that former offensive coordinator for the Lions, who took over at Chicago, Ben Johnson, will be coaching against his former team. So,
I love those stories.
Yeah,
there's always good stories like that.
It'll be interesting. Can he beat Dan Campbell? Chicago was pretty bad last year. They've looked better. They've had a little bit of resurgence. We're one game in. Who really knows?
They looked not really good this past weekend. All right, Megan, let's finish up by giving our Texas final predictions, our scores, and then we will wrap up a little early tonight. Megan, what do you have as a score for this game? Again, the over-under was 50.5. Texas is a 41.5 point favorite.
I'm going to take Texas in this. Obviously, I don't think I need to say that, right? I think final score, I'm looking at a 48-13.
Okay.
I think 40-13 Texas. I don't think they cover the 41.5. And I'm saying that simply because our offense, I think they figure it out. I still think we work some kinks out. And Texas historically has not been a great team to cover. they just haven't. So
what was your score again?
I said 48-13.
48-13. Okay, I'm trying to write this down. All right, 48-13. I'm going. I still don't see the offense clicking on all cylinders yet. Again, Wisner is probably resting. We don't know the status of DeAndre Moore. I love that players like Dalen McCutcheon are going to get more time. And, we saw Khalil Lockett, and we saw Jamie French, and we saw the young ones get some reps. So we'll probably see more of that, which also means maybe the timing isn't all perfect and we're not just firing yet. The younger running backs are going to get more time. I don't see this as a call your score, run it up kind of game, but I do still trust our defense. So I'm going to go more of another 38-7 kind of game.
All right.
Sorry.
Texas puts up more against this UTEP defense than they did against
as long as they're resting really strong starters or starters that need to rest and the good of giving younger players more rotation, I think. And I don't know how much they're going to clean up those penalties. So just remember when the score used to always be 52-10. I have a feeling like 38-7 is not bad, but it's not great, and it doesn't win championships. You got to run the score up on these fools. We saw Florida State put up 77 on a team last weekend. So
what was your final call, Rocky?
38-7, just like last weekend.
You're sticking with it.
Actually, I'm going to go 37-7. I don't know how we get 38. I'm going to go 37-7. Maybe a couple of field. I don't even know. I don't know.
All right.
37-7. However
we got
you
them locked in. We got them locked in.
Yeah. All CB mentions big boys at LCL. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit earlier. Get there before the game at DKR for a free concert.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Well, we know it has been kind of a crazy week on the Twitters. You guys stay healthy out there. It's wild times we're in. Chris, CB, thank you for the reminder. Tomorrow is 9/11, and we will never forget. So Again, y'all, we appreciate you being here. Do not forget to like and subscribe, like the video, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, please. We are Fire the Cannon Podcast on YouTube and, of course, on Instagram and the Twitter machines. We are Fire the Cannon and the #1. We appreciate y'all being here. We love it when y'all jump in. We love your thoughts. So, yeah, like I said, hit us up on Twitter. Let us know what your score predictions are for UTEP at Texas, and we will definitely be recapping that. Until then, y'all, I am Megan.
I'm Rocky.
And we are Fire the Cannon. Hook 'em.